For the Rapid and Blitz World Chess Championship, Uzbekistan came with his national team because there is a free tournament. Everybody can game with players of all the countries. But Uzbekistan decided to send a national team with all players of Uzbekistan. And in the Rapid section, they doesn't play so good. But in the Blitz, they reached the bronze medal, eliminating the team of Magnus Carlsen in quarterfinals. So I'm going to show a game of this match, the victory of Bokidov against Vasir Lagraf, who was decisive to win this match. Of course, the victory of Dusatorov against Carlsen was important too, but my favorite game was this one of Bokidov against Vasir Lagraf, so let's see the game. Okay, Vasir Lagraf open with e4 and e5 by Bokidov, going solid, knight f3, knight c6, and he goes with the Berlin defense. I select this game because it's very strange to see black winning games with the Berlin defense, especially in the elite of chess, and especially in the line chose by Vasir Lagraf with sword castle, knight e4, and rook e1 is the most solid move by white. It's very strange to see white losing this type of game. Knight d6, knight e5, bishop e7, because the pawn structure is symmetrical and white is a little bit up in development. Bishop f6, rook e1, rook e8, everything is very common. Bishop f4, and here Maxim Vasir Lagraf goes for this line who sacrificed a pawn. Some years ago, this line increased his popularity, and the idea is that black sacrificed a pawn, but it's so tricky because white sacrificed a pawn is so tricky, but because white have huge development. Bishop takes d4 and knight d5, d6, bishop d5, f6, and here white have many options. This is the main position. 2 months ago, I faced the best player of Cuba, Daniel Albornoz, and he played bishop e3 against me. And here the best response is bishop e5 first, provoking f4, and then capturing the b2 pawn, rook b1, bishop a3, queen e5, bishop e6, bishop here, c6, and now after these trades, this endgame is more or less equal. Or he can capture on f6, but okay, this endgame is fine for black. Instead of bishop e3 here, white can go back to h4, is another possibility. c6, king h8, and bishop e5, and okay, the game is very complex now, of course. You should need more theory to play that. Bishop c4, king h8, queen e4, bishop takes b2, that's another interesting line. We can see that white first starting sacrificing many pawns, but later he's going to take back the pawns and reach a more or less equal position. By the way, there are many options for white here, and Vasir Lagraf goes for queen e4. He selects queen e4, who is interesting, but not in the way that he played that. Because after f takes d5, here the good idea of play queen e4 is follow that with bishop d3, attacking h7, king f8, and now queen d4. Looks like queen d4 now is more natural. After you win the tempo of bishop d3 and the king is a little bit strange on f8. c6, knight e3, knight b6, and okay, this endgame is more or less equal. And white can capture on h7 now, and the endgame is equal. Instead of that, Vasir Lagraf goes with queen d4, and now the white initiative after c6 and bishop c6 is more or less over, because okay, you have a pawn down with white, and you are not attacking, and you're still having the bishop on f1, the rook on a1, the knight goes back to e3. You just have the queen good place on d4, of course, but you have not enough initiative for the pawn. c4, okay, he tries to keep the pawn on d6, with the only white hope is that the d6 pawn is not going to advance. Queen f6, queen d2, and rook d8, and black is flying. Black is fine. He developed all his pieces and he have no problems in the position, and he have an extra pawn. Rook e1, h6, b3, and b6 by Bokidov. g3, knight c7, bishop g2, and finally the only problem of black is solved. I say that the black problem is the d6 pawn, who is a little bit weak and his extra pawn, and he finally managed to mobilize his extra pawn, and now black have a good advantage. Rook d1, rook d7, takes. Here Bokidov doesn't recapture with the best piece, but okay, it's a blitz game and I accept some mistake, of course. C takes d4, c takes d5 was stronger. The problem of bishop takes d5, who looks very natural trading the fianchetto bishop, is that after queen c2 the bishop is pinned on d5. That's why bishop takes d5, who at the first glance looks so natural, is not the best. Queen e6, b4, and okay, bishop g2, rook here, queen here, king takes, and here we have a queen hanging who is, okay, the machine say that it's not winning, but it's very easy to play for black. g4 here was stronger, just fixing this pawn structure, and we're going to see later that the g pawn on g4 is going to be very, very annoying. King g1, and here I really like the plan recommended by the machine, king f7 or king f8, trying to go with the king to the queen side where it's going to be safer. Okay, he played queen d5, who looks natural too, and he created a pass pawn into the c file. And Bacher goes for the a7 pawn, trying to create a pass pawn into the a file too. And Bokidov, I like this move. He completely forgot about the a7 pawn, and he just focused into his own pass pawn, and he tries to promote his pass pawn. Especially for a blitz, it's a good technique. Queen e7 and queen d3, good move, avoiding the checks. I really like the queen here because it's avoiding all the checks in this diagonal. The king is going to be completely safe on e7, and this pawn is going to advance to c2. Later it's going to be hard to promote, of course, but okay, we're going to see that in a blitz it's hard to defend for white too. King g2, h5, and here this is the key move where Bacher loses the game. Hard to defend in a blitz, but the machine say that white can hold the game. Only move to defend was g4. Because okay, it's true that the queen is great place here defending the checks, defending the pawn, but one day you should move this queen to promote this pawn. And if you move this queen, for example, to d2, the checks are going to start. So black only hope is play with g4 and queen f3 later. So that's the only idea of black. And if you defend that with g4, like it's hard for black to make progress. Now the position looks like a dead draw. So, but instead of g4, who was the best move with prophylaxis, Bacher forget about his opponent's plan and he played e4. But after g4, now queen f3 is coming unstoppable and the game is winning for black. Pawn takes, he tries with king h2, but now queen g6. If you move the queen h6 and c1, winning the game for Bokidov. So great game against a player with more rating than him. And they eliminate the team of Magnus Carlsen, Caruana, Wesley So, Duda, Bacher, so incredible result. And in semifinals, they lost against the team of Hans Niemann. No, sorry, they lost in the semifinal against the team of Dragon Chilling, the team of Dean Liren and the China team. And in the third and fourth place, they beat the team Mr. Verdi and friends. So they get the bronze medal. In this photo, there are no Sindarov and no Madaminov. I don't know why, but I can find a photo with all the players and the trophies. And he's the under 2000 player. This is Afruda Kandaznova, I think, and Eumida Omanova. I met these two girls in the in the last year in Peru, in the under 20 World Championship. This is Bokidov, the guy that we watched the game. This is Yakuboev, one of the best players. He reached the semifinals in the World Cup. Abdusattorov was the huge promise of Uzbekistan. He is Kasindanov, and these both are the coaches of the team. And Sindarov, of course, was the second board, and Madaminov was playing for the team, and he made a great result. So, okay, congratulations to the team of Uzbekistan for this bronze medal, and I think that they can make a great Olympiad. So let's see what happens. Bye bye.